Hi, Lloyd Chapman with another riveting episode of Memory Lane, a blast from the past. This is one of my favorite stories. This is hilarious. By the way, no matter what I do, I can't get that glare off my glasses. No matter I move these lights everywhere. Yeah, I don't know how to do that. Anyway, so this is hilarious. Um, so I used to be uh, what's the word? Had a good relationship with John Kerry when he was chair of the Senate Small Business Committee. I met him in Burlingame at a fundraiser, and I went to the fundraiser, and there wasn't that many people there. And there was a guy, playing guitar, and people were kind of milling around. Well, when the guitar player took a break, Kerry sat down, started strumming it, and I'm sitting there talking to him. And I'd seen an article in some magazine, and he had the same two motorcycles I had. He had a Harley Dyna Lowrider and a Ducati 1000 Monster, and I had those same two bikes. So we were talking, and we both played guitar. We had the same bike, so we start talking. He was about my age, right? Maybe a little older. And so we're talking, and I kind of got to, know him a little bit. He called me a few times. I had his cell phone number, and he actually called me a couple of times to talk about some stuff. So, so we had a pretty good relationship there. It kind of went sour after a while. I'll do another video about that. But um, so one day, this young guy on his staff called me and said Senator Tom Coburn is having a secret hearing about closing the Small Business Administration. And the only people he invited to testify were people that worked for conservative think tanks in DC that wanted to close the SBA. So Fortune 500 firms always want to close the SBA because the Small Business Act says 23% of all contracts should go to small businesses. The big businesses want every penny the government spends, and to accomplish that, they got to get rid of the SBA. So Fortune 500 firms, particularly in the defense and aerospace industry, have been lobbying to close the SBA, since Reagan was president. You can Google that. So Coburn's going to have this secret hearing and try to build a case for closing the SBA. And he didn't want anybody to know about it because if people found out about it, people that were against closing the SBA would show up, right? So he wants this, one-sided hearing where only people that want to close it showed up. And I found out about it, and I found out this woman named Veronique DeRougy was going to be testifying, and she worked for some, conservative slimeball group in D.C. And I wrote a press release about the fact that Coburn's having this hearing to close the SBA, and I call this woman anti-American small business. And I when I heard the I wasn't there. I heard it. I forgot how I heard it, but it was coming across on my computer because I was listening to it, and she was very upset that I'd called her anti-American. But anyway, she's still out there, trying to push a Fortune 500 agenda and kill all program for the small businesses where most of us work, right? But anyway, so I read this press release about Coburn's secret hearing. He's livid. Um, and he attacks me. He made some kind of statement that the American Small Business League was, horrible and all this kind of stuff. Well, that's great. I love it when a senator attacks me. That's like my wildest dream. Yeah, please, Senator Coburn, I'm trying to get press and trying to get out there my message that government should quit cheating small businesses, quit trying to repeal the largest economic stimulus program for the American people in history, the Small Business Act. So I love it when someone, a senator, somebody, attacks me. It's great. I try to, I try to get them to attack me, right? So he attacks me in the media, and now his secret hearing is really, out there. So what I did, um, I had my staff call all the chambers of commerce in Oklahoma, and I figured out, how much in small business contracts went, out there, and I broke it up by state. And I figured out, which each state, what percentage of the national population lived in that state. Then I took the dollar volume of contracts they claim are going to small businesses, and I could say, okay, if they close the SBA, this state's going to lose this amount of money. So I had my staff call every chamber of commerce in Oklahoma and tell them if Senator Coburn is successful in closing the SBA, Oklahoma's going to lose, millions in federal, contracts. Well, some of the people in these chambers got confused with the American Small Business, you call them, they thought it was the SBA. They thought it was the Small Business Administration. So what Coburn heard was the Small Business Administration was calling all the chambers of commerce in his state to oppose his efforts to close the SBA, and that was illegal. It's federal agencies can't lobby, right? So now he comes out, attacking the SBA for illegally lobbying like that, which got his secret hearing even more publicity, right? And so we're going back and forth, and he's not happy with me, but I was thrilled that he got me lots of free publicity, and it kept escalating, right? And it got to the point, and he was a big senator back then. Tom Coburn was a big deal in Congress. He was a big Republican voice, right? It got to the point where one day his chief of staff called me and pleaded with me to back off and leave him alone. Right? And he said, if you'll, back off and leave Senator Coburn alone, he'll drop, his effort to try to close the SBA. And I said, okay, we'll do it. But, back in those days, I had a lot of power. When I could put out a press release and actually was distributed, I had a lot of power, right? These days, if I put out a press release, it won't be distributed. The government's hired some big company to make sure that, my press releases aren't distributed. I put one out, what was it? A few days ago, I put out a press release about a lawsuit I've got against the Trump administration of the PPP loans, right? Real hot story. Judge issued a very controversial ruling in that case. I issued a press release, nobody picked it up, zero. It wasn't distributed. But back in those days, when I put out a press release, it was distributed, normally, and I got lots of publicity. And poor old Senator Coburn buckled under the pressure from the massive American Small Business League, right? That was funny. That's one of my favorite stories, how I terrified a United States senator into pleading with us to, back off. I'm Lloyd Chapman with the American Small Business League. Thanks for watching.